think we're close enough. So good morning, everyone. My name is Ursel McElroy. I am the director of the Ohio Department of Aging, and I am pleased to welcome you to this ribbon cutting ceremony. Today we are celebrating the opening of our new Golden Buckeye Center for Dementia Caregiving. We should be ready. This is truly a landmark moment in our efforts as a state to support the dedicated family and professional caregivers who call Ohio home. The Golden Buckeye Center is the very first facility in the state specifically focused on strengthening the knowledge, skills, and supports of our caregivers for people living with Alzheimer's disease and other dementias, commonly referred to as ADOD. And as we begin today's ceremony, I am filled with an immense amount of gratitude. Pioneering achievements like this do not come easy, and they do not happen alone. They are the result of dedicated community partners working together to develop imaginative and innovative ideas. They also take a lot of hard work and persistence. And there are so many people in this room and others around the state who have helped make today possible through their expertise and passion for their fellow Ohioans. I am so thankful to work with each and every one of you. And of course, taking big ideas like this center and turning them into reality is easier said than done. It takes commitment and action from a leader who believes in our vision of making Ohio the best place to age in the nation. That's the kind of leader we have in Governor Mike DeWine. So much of what we do as a department to empower and enrich the lives of older adults, as well as their caregivers, would not be possible without his strong passion for people. He supported the creation of our Alzheimer's disease and related dementias task force, and ultimately the creation of this center. It gives me great pride every day to serve in his administration. The governor recorded a special video greeting for this ceremony, and I'm honored to share this message with you now.
Hello, I'm Ohio Governor Mike DeWine. I'm so excited to welcome you to the ribbon-cutting ceremony to celebrate the opening of Ohio's new Golden Buckeye Center for Dementia Caregiving. Ohio truly is the heart of it all, and that includes the heart of caregiving. Family caregivers are among our strongest Ohioans, but sometimes even the strongest among us could benefit from a little help. That's where the Golden Buckeye Center comes in. To caregivers across the state, this facility stands as a fountain of knowledge, a beacon of hope, and a symbol of relief. Whether you're new to the caregiving and just trying to figure out where to start, or you've been at this work for a while, this center and the people in it are here to help. It will house training courses from leading experts around the world. It will offer the best resources of information about Alzheimer's disease and other dementias. And it will provide space and activities for much needed rest and relaxation for those continuing their caregiving journey. With the opening of the Golden Buckeye Center, Ohio is taking a big step forward towards a brighter future for our caregivers and their loved ones. I congratulate you on this very special accomplishment and wish you continued success ahead.
Understands clearly our need as a state to take bold, proactive steps to support our rapidly growing aging population and those who care for them. For a moment, think about the numbers. Between 2010 and 2020, our population across this world, ages 65 and older, saw the largest and fastest growth in any decade since 1880. Today, about 1 in 6 people in the United States are 65 and older. And if you rewind 100 years, in 1920, this proportion was less than 1 in 20. By the end of this decade, more than 1 out of every 4 Ohioans will be 65 and over. And for the first time in our history, demographers predict that we are on track to have more older Americans than children, young children, in our country. The number of older Ohioans diagnosed with ADOD is on a similar trajectory. And that's why it is so critical that we launch focused efforts to support these residents and their caregivers. Caregivers embody the spirit of selfless service that defines what it means to be an Ohioan. They dedicate themselves to supporting their loved ones, helping them maintain independence and quality of life. Many even perform these selfless duties on top of full-time jobs. By empowering and enriching caregivers with the latest training, information, and research, the Golden Buckeye Center is a major step in our efforts to care for our caregivers the way they deserve. Now, one thing you may wonder is, why did we name it the Golden Buckeye Center? When you hear Golden Buckeye, it is my hope that you think of our senior discount card program. For many older Ohioans, it's their ticket to 10% off their morning cup of coffee. So many discounts to our wonderful state facilities. But really, the program has come to stand for much more than a means of saving money. Golden Buckeye empowers people to thrive because the program cultivates real and meaningful connections between our older adults and their communities. The same sense of community connection runs deep in our vision behind the Golden Buckeye Center. This is a program for Ohioans by Ohioans. It features our state's best and brightest people and resources, all pulling the rope together in a family atmosphere to help Ohio families everywhere. Maybe you're an Ohioan who is new to caregiving and need guidance from experts who have been there before on where to start. The Golden Buckeye Center will be your trusted support system. Maybe you're an Ohioan who is more familiar with caregiving, but you need a new resource to help with a particular challenge. The Golden Buckeye Center will be your North Star and get you what you need. Maybe you're an Ohioan who wants to enter our state's care force as a professional caregiver. The Golden Buckeye Center will give you the tools and understanding you need to be successful. And maybe you're an Ohioan who has been providing care for a long time and you are simply in need of a break. The Golden Buckeye Center will be your safe harbor of rejuvenation. The difference this center will make will be life-changing, and none of it will be possible without the support of my alma mater, the Ohio State University. The team at Ohio State's College of Nursing will be handling the day-to-day operations at the center, making those valuable connections for those within our state's caregiver community. Not only have they provided us this beautiful space, they are building the state's premier collection of Alzheimer's and dementia resources and developing the training programs that caregivers will utilize. We are proud of this partnership because Ohio State has an incredible history of Alzheimer's research. Over the last decade, a breakthrough study out of Wexner Medical Center showed that brain pacemakers can slow the deterioration of problem-solving and decision-making in Alzheimer's patients. 2 years ago, faculty from the College of Nursing participated in research to help find a new way to identify people with a high potential of developing Alzheimer's disease before symptoms occur. These are just two examples of ways that Ohio State is at the forefront of ADOD research, and we couldn't be happier to partner with them with the Golden Buckeye Center. Now, leading the way is the Dean of the College of Nursing, Dr. Karen Rose. She and I have been colleagues for a period of time, and I am proud to call her a good friend. She shares in my passion for providing the best services and supports for older Ohioans and understands that our communities are at their very best when people of all ages and from all spaces are included and supported. With Dean Rose serving as the director of the Golden Buckeye Center for Dementia Caregiving, I know that our future supporting Ohio's caregivers is bright. Now it is my privilege to invite Dean Rose to the stage to say a few words.
Good morning, and thank you, Director McElroy, for your kind words and for your optimism and confidence in us as we officially open our new Golden Buckeye Center for Dementia Caregiving. It's a great day. I also want to acknowledge our center's co-director, Dr. Mary Beth Happ, and our other wonderful regional partners who are with us in this effort and who are represented with us today, namely the Alzheimer's Association of Central Ohio, Miami University's Scripps Gerontology Center, Memory Lane Care Services, the Benjamin Rose Institute on Aging, Summit County Public Health, the Ohio Council for Cognitive Health, and I'd be remiss if I didn't acknowledge OSU Extension, which extends Ohio State's footprint into all 88 counties in Ohio, and the Geriatric Workforce Enhancement Program. And I also want to quickly recognize Stacy Rastoskis, our Vice President for Government Affairs at OSU, who is with us representing the leadership of our university in fully supporting the purpose behind this tremendous partnership. There's a great and poignant quote related to caregiving from former First Lady Rosalind Carter, whose life and legacy is being celebrated this week after her passing. She said, "There are 4 kinds of people in this world. There are those who have been caregivers, those who are currently caregivers, those who will be caregivers, and those of us who will need caregivers." By a show of hands, how many here have been caregivers? And how about those who are currently caregivers? At some point, the First Lady is right. All of us will or will be in need of caregivers. This is one of those rare, globally shared human experiences because, as we said in the stark times of during the pandemic, health and caring for those whose health is struggling is universal. It's also universal to a nurse's calling to care. And it's why we are at the College of Nursing are so excited and so ready to partner with Director McElroy and the Ohio Department of Aging, along with our regional partners, to create a foundational center to support caregivers across our great state. Now, we are starting with dementia caregiving. Given our aging population, we know from our Department of Aging that at least 1 in every 9 Ohioans age 65 and older is impacted by Alzheimer's disease or a related dementia. And many of those people live alone. So they lean on family or friends or professional caregivers to help get them through their day-to-day and guide them through their situations. It's a horrible and heartbreaking situation. Dementia robs people of their memories, their personalities, their lives. And caregivers give so much of themselves in the process of helping. Many of them feel like they're on an island, alone, fending for themselves, to cope as they provide support for someone they deeply care about. With the opening of this center, we are telling caregivers, you are not alone. We are so fortunate and grateful that within our College of Nursing are world-renowned experts and researchers through our Center for Healthy Aging, Self-Management, and Complex Care. They, along with their other colleagues at OSU's College of Social Work and College of Medicine, will be instrumental in offering trainings, resources, and research on interventions and cost-effective outcomes to build connection, competence, and confidence as we support family and formal care partners across Ohio. We have launched a new website to support this effort. For those of you in this room, there's a QR code on the screen there that you can scan with your phones. For everyone watching at home, it's nursing.osu.edu/dementia caregiving. Part of our mission is to offer both in-person and virtual trainings and resources that lift up caregivers in every corner of our state. So we will continue to build that portal of support as we move forward. Again, to Director McElroy and her team, thank you for the support and trust you put in us to stand up this center. To our regional partners, thank you for the passion and purpose that you are sharing with us in this effort. We've got a lot of critically important work to do together. And once more, to the hundreds of thousands of caregivers throughout our great state who provide so much, and especially to those who struggle with caring for themselves in the process, you are not alone. We are here to help. Thank you very much.
And thank you, Dean Rose. We're really excited to work with you and the entire team and the brilliant minds here at Ohio State. At this time, I would like to take a moment to voice my appreciation for our partners whose support has made this day possible. First, I'd like to thank members of the Alzheimer's Disease and Related Dementias Task Force. Many of our members are with us today. By show of hands, if you are a member, please be acknowledged. Thank you. Thank you. The task force was formed through the passage of Senate Bill 24 in the 133rd General Assembly and signed into law by Governor DeWine. I had the honor of serving as chair, with Department of Health Director Dr. Bruce Vanderhoff serving as vice chair. The task force was entrusted with the responsibility of examining the needs of individuals diagnosed with ADOD, the services available, and the ability of Ohio's system to meet the current and future needs. Some of our members took time away from their careers, while others took time away from their caregiving duties to participate. Our group had the expertise, the passion, and the will to make a difference. And it was their work that sparked the concept of the facility we are sitting in now. I am immensely proud to have worked alongside them. I'd also like to thank my colleague, Ohio Department of Medicaid Director Maureen Corcoran. Through her partnership, we were instrumental in being able to secure the millions of dollars through the CMS Money Follows the Person grant program to launch this effort. It was this collaboration that led to where we are today. In addition to this center, our work through the program has resulted in the development of dementia screening tools and risk assessments, referral tools for individuals experiencing cognitive decline, and toolkits linking individuals affected by ADOD with community services. Now, Dean Rose took you through the other organizations that are contributing to these efforts, so I won't repeat everyone, but please know how appreciated you are for working alongside us during this worthy project. I also owe a thank you to my colleague, Chancellor Randy Gardner from the Ohio Department of Higher Education. and Case Western Reserve University for collaborating with us on a recent work to advance brain health research. It was really amazing to go to Chancellor Gardner and say, this is an important topic. Is there any way that the Ohio Department of Higher Education can help support and fund some of the research efforts? And without hesitation, they've done so. This partnership has helped strengthen our understanding of ADOD. We have also been able to better inform Ohioans on the lifestyle factors that can help lessen their risk for dementia as they age. This work makes it clear why brain health is worth investing in. And I would like to recognize the members of the General Assembly and their representatives who are here with us today. So much of the work that we do would not be possible without your support. And if you wouldn't mind, could you please stand? I know you care deeply about older Ohioans and caregivers in your districts, and you care deeply about issues surrounding ADOD. During the most recent state budget cycle, with your support, we were successful in our request to increase our Alzheimer's disease and other dementias respite line by an additional $1.8 million each year. This increase is allowing us to further support those living with dementia and their caregivers, and I am extremely grateful. With us today, I understand we have State Senator Bill DeMora, State Senator Herschel Craig, State Representative Jim Hoops. We also have representatives from the offices of United States Representative Joyce Beatty, State House Minority Leader Allison Russo, and State Senator Steve Wilson. And if there's anyone that I've not called, my apologies, but we are grateful that you are here. Please, again, let's give them a round of applause. And many of our distinguished guests have brought with them proclamations and commendations to officially commemorate the opening of our Golden Buckeye Center. We also have a proclamation from the governor's office honoring the opening of the center, along with the governor's proclamation formally recognizing National Family Caregivers Month held each year in November. All of these documents are available here in the room. We certainly welcome everyone to view these documents before leaving here today. Now, I want to specifically recognize former State Senator Kenny Yuko, who is also with us here today. He and Senator Wilson were the primary sponsors of the bill that created our task force. But not only did they create the task force, they served as members, active members themselves. Senator Yuko, I am forever grateful to have you on our side as a champion for older Ohioans, those with ADOD, and their caregivers. Would you please join us and say a few words, sir?
Good morning, everybody. Is she not the greatest or what? She never ceased to amaze me. You know, when you have a project and you want to get the momentum going and you think of how you're going to get from point A to point B, you put everyone on a bus, but every bus needs a bus driver. This is my bus driver right here. My name is Kenny Yuko. I served as a state representative one time. I served as a state senator for 8 years. I served as Senate Minority Leader for 6 years. And now I'm serving my greatest title ever, Gramps. You just can't beat that one. That's what it's all about. And I share this with you that when I did as a state rep back in the days, and Phil Sakin will probably remember some of this, it was my bill to bring casinos to Ohio. And when I first came on board in 2005 as a state rep, and they asked me what I wanted to do, I said, I want to bring casinos to Ohio. And they told me I was nuts. They said, you can't do that. Well, as you know, we have 4 casinos and 7 racinos, generating a lot of cash and revenue for all 88 counties, besides the jobs and the tax revenue it creates for the cities. And that was quite an accomplishment. And when that bill passed and when the casinos were finally open, when Pam and I went to visit the casino for the very first time, there was a certain thrill and excitement because we saw something from the beginning, and we saw it to fruition, where we actually got it started. Then I went over to the Senate, and one thing I worked on was something I worked on for 8 years as a state rep, wasn't too successful at, was bringing medical marijuana to Ohio. Now, it gave me a lot of jokes. I mean, everywhere I went in the State House for the 8 years I was a state rep, all I heard was, "Hey, Yuko, how many joint sponsors have you got today?" And all you can do is smile, you know. But we did it. And now what we did, now it gives us the opportunity to meet with families. And we did a listening tour of the not Ohio State, but Cleveland State University, Cincinnati, University of Cincinnati, University of Toledo, where we had about 750 people show up for all those town hall meetings. And Senator David Burke and I would listen intently to all of their concerns. We met with their families. We visited their homes. They visited our offices. And we took to heart what they were telling us. And when we meet people now who would tell us the stories that their granddaughter had sometimes 75 to 100 seizures a day, and we knew the next seizure could cause permanent brain damage or death, and now she's down to make 2 very mild seizures, we know we accomplished something. So when we visited the medical growth centers sometimes, or the dispensaries for the first time, it gave us a level of excitement. And then came time to realization that as we're all getting older, you know, I was born in 1950, that puts me up to around the 73-year mark, and a lot of our friends and our family members, and watching my parents age out, brought a realization that, you know what, there is a significant number of people, as was pointed out. We used to have a lot of kids, now we have a lot of adults. And where do we go? And we started talking about it. I talked with Senator Steve Wilson. We're both around the same age, I believe. And we realized that we needed some help. I started visiting nursing homes and families, meeting with people. I took one phone call from a woman who said, "Could you possibly come to my house? I want you to meet my husband." And I said yes. And I remember that day very well. I knocked at the door, and a young girl opened the door, and I said, "Good morning. Is your mother home?" And she looked at me like I had a third eye in my forehead. And she said, "Who are you? And what do you want?" I said, "I'm Kenny Yuko. I'm a senator, and I'm supposed to meet with so-and-so today." And she said, "Well, that's me." And she says, "Senator, I apologize. I didn't recognize you." She says, "My husband is the one with Alzheimer's disease." And I'm looking at her, and I thought she's got to be in her late 30s. This got to be a mistake. But it wasn't. He was 41 years old, 42, I believe it was. He had early onset. And I told her, I apologize. I said, as much as I've been looking into Alzheimer's, I never heard of early onset. And to have somebody so young, when I went to meet him, he was in the dining room. He was 41 or 42, I believe, just staring into space. 2 little boys, 2 and 3, he didn't know who they were. And if that doesn't break your heart, nothing will. We knew we had to do something. We also knew that in Ohio we had a long way to go. For too many reasons, for too many occasions, we sat there and we complained the fact that how many times we heard that Ohio was number 47, 48, 49, or number 50 in the country. And to me, that's unacceptable. I want to be number 1 all the time. And I wanted to make sure that we took care of our most vulnerable population. You know, we let down some of the people who served during World War II and the Depression, and because we didn't know better. But we know better now. But again, even though we have knowledge, doesn't mean we have the ability, doesn't mean we have the mechanism in place. But we do now because we put together a task force. And I've served in my 73 years on this earth in many task forces. And we were kind of joking a little bit before you got here, Director, that it starts out with 40 people at the first meeting and 20 at the second and 8 people at the next, and then you go to the last meeting and there's 5 people and 3 have to leave after half an hour because they got grocery shopping to do or something, and you're thinking, okay, where have we gone? What have we done? But not this task force, was it? This task force met. We met all over the place. We met for long hours. We met with all kinds of people. There are so many people that are associated. We met with not only professionals, but we met with those who were actually caregivers. Sometimes we met with the actual patients. It was quite phenomenal when you think about everything that we've got to do and accomplish. And it's all because of all people like you. Steve Wilson, if he was here, and I love Steve Wilson, he's a tremendous senator, he's a great friend, and he was a tremendous partner on this. We shared a lot of happiness, but we shared a lot of sadness too, as we discovered how many families are suffering. And what can we do as legislators that they've elected into office and they expect us to do something? I expect you to do the script Ohio when she talked about Ohio State University Center anymore, but there's things that we can do as elected leaders. And this was one of the things that we put together. When you think about, when you hear statistics that we have, 6 million in the country right now with dementia and Alzheimer's, and they're predicting it'll be more than double than that in 2050, which isn't too far away as fast as time goes these days. When you think about more people are going to die of this than people who die of breast cancer and prostate cancer, you know what, we have to do something. We have to do something better. We have to be number one. And ladies and gentlemen, we are on the road to making that happen. And it's because, again, Director, you and Dean, the work that you're doing here and will continue to do, all of you who are here because you care about life, you care about the people you belong to. I'm going to close with one fast story, and I don't remember where I saw this. Maybe I'm getting there. I don't know. It was either on a Hallmark Christmas show or on Facebook or something, but it was about a doorbell ringing and an old gentleman opened the door, and a whole bunch of family members came in, and they're hugging and saying Merry Christmas and saying hi to him. And the older kid said, "Dad, how's Mom doing today?" He said, "Mom's got good days and Mom's got bad days. And today's not one of her better days." So they all came in the house, and one younger daughter says, "I got this." So she walked over to her mother. Her mother's just sitting there staring into space. And she says, "Mom, how are you doing?" She just didn't answer. She said, "Mom, I have an idea. Let's go for a ride." And the mother had no response. So the girl got the coat, helped her mom with her coat, got her walker, walked outside. They walked to the garage. They opened the garage door, and there was a car covered up with a tarp. And she uncovered it. It was probably late 60 model's car or something. And she helped her mother get in the passenger seat. And they see him driving out of the driveway. And then you see him parked in front of a house. She goes, "Mom, you remember that house? That's the house where you were born and you were raised. That's where you lived, Mom, when you were a kid. And see the school over here? Mom, this is where you went to school, and all your friends were there. Do you remember that, Mom? You had fun with your friends during school, after school, parties and whatnot. Isn't that great, Mom?" And then we go over here, and Mom, do you remember this place? If my stories that you and Dad told us over the years are true, this is where Dad gave you your first kiss. And her mom looked there and says, "That's not true. I kissed him." And that's what can happen, and that's what I hope and pray for, that we can bring the community together, and because it's not just all the professionals, it's not just all of it here in this room, it's our community, so that they understand that this is an ongoing problem. It's not going to go away. It's not going to get better, but the help is out there, and we're going to make sure that everyone has access to it. Listen, I want to thank everybody for being here. Director, I want to thank you for everything, because that's my wife, but I love you. I really do. And from our family to all of yours, have a Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year. Thank you.
Thank you again, Senator. Now, we also have a few people with us today that provide additional context around ADOD and the journey of being a caregiver. With us are Trey Addison, Director of State Public Policy at the Alzheimer's Association, and Holly Holtzen, State Director of AARP Ohio. Both of them served as task force members. They brought valuable perspective to the table. Starting with you, Trey, I would like to invite you to the podium now to share your thoughts on the impact of this center. Trey?
Good morning. My name is Trey Addison, Director of Public Policy for the Alzheimer's Association. It's an honor to be with you all today, and I'd like to thank Governor Mike DeWine as well as Director McElroy. More than 6 million Americans are currently affected by Alzheimer's disease. 220,000 plus right now in the state of Ohio are caregivers. Studies predict those numbers will double in the next 30 years. According to National Centers for Disease and Control, Alzheimer's disease is the 7th leading cause of death in the United States, and one of the most costliest diseases, with $345 billion spent last year alone on caring for and taking care of individuals, either the caregivers as well as the patients. We experience firsthand the disease and the terrible impact on a daily basis, either in person for those people living with the disease as well as their caregivers. More than 420,000 Ohioans are serving as caregivers. And even with that great number, my colleagues, some of which are in the room, cannot keep up. Part of that is because the journey of a caregiver is challenging, particularly when someone is living with Alzheimer's and other dementia. There are good days, there are bad days. There are unexpected events, there's agitation. You don't know what you're going to get into. Those challenges over time present opportunities. This is one. We are excited, and I want to underscore that, excited, because I was emailing the director and her team every single week, post-task force, on what was next. So now we're standing in it. I'd like to thank The Ohio State University, my alma mater as well, for the leadership in steering this, not only what begets from the task force, the group that came together through a grant, as well as the Alzheimer's Association, who I'm here to represent today. This is a major step in advancing the overall public awareness of Alzheimer's and other dementia. This issue is not in the general public narrative on a day-to-day basis, nor is the journey of a caregiver. This center has the opportunity to do that, create a narrative, and also shape other places throughout the state and become a trailblazer throughout the United States. Ohio is now the first to make Alzheimer's and other dementia a key priority by the opening of this center. There's other centers across the country that were federally funded to some extent, but our state, with the leadership of Director McElroy, took the extra step and said, we're going to allocate resources to support not only caregivers and their families, but the people on a day-to-day basis that need to learn more about the disease. I'm encouraged to see Representative Hoops, who will be leading the effort in our public awareness and sponsoring a legislation that will enhance our ability, working through the center and through other centers, hopefully across the state, to advance the issue of Alzheimer's and other dementia. So again, I just want to thank you all for the work that you've done. Again, thank you, Director McElroy, for all the things that you've done, and Governor Mike DeWine. We are encouraged at the Alzheimer's Association, and we're here to provide any resource, research, data point that we need to do to ensure this center is a success and that we can duplicate these efforts all throughout the state of Ohio. Thank you so much.
All right, thank you, Trey. Next, I'll invite Holly to the podium. She and I have a chance to work together quite often. In fact, just yesterday, I was her guest at AARP's Ohio Leading with Care event at the State House. We had a fireside chat, and we talked about the tremendous effort it takes to care for a loved one. We also discussed the collaborative work being done in Ohio to make the caregiver journey just a little bit easier. Holly, would you please come up and share a few words with us?
Good morning. Thank you, Director McElroy and Governor DeWine, for inviting me to speak at this very important ribbon-cutting ceremony. It is truly an honor to be here today celebrating the opening of the Golden Buckeye Center for Dementia Caregiving. And it's very fitting, as it is the last day of National Family Caregivers Month, celebrating and recognizing family caregivers across this country. The care Ohio's 1.5 million family caregivers provide is truly a gift for the communities, cities, and state wrestling with the realities of an aging population and dementia. We know the value of this care is $21 billion in unpaid labor, saving taxpayer dollars. The collaboration between the Ohio Department of Aging, the Ohio State University College of Nursing, and the many other partners in this work will help to enhance the resources and support family caregivers receive across the state. Caregivers need common sense solutions and investments such as this center today to address the needs of family caregivers and the needs of the workforce. At AARP, we are committed to supporting people living with dementia and their caregivers to help with the physical, emotional, and financial stress many families face. Family caregivers are the backbone of our long-term care system. The important resources and services offered by the center will provide life-changing support to family caregivers. Helping caregivers today is an important investment in our future, as each one of us is likely to become a caregiver or someone who needs care. I would like to congratulate and thank all of the partners who made this happen. This is truly a wonderful day and a great resource to Ohioans. So thank you.
Thank you, Holly. We have one more speaker with us today, and she is someone who has firsthand experience with being a caregiver. Karen Hensley Rayburn is the Director of Community Relations at the African American Alzheimer's and Wellness Association. She is an experienced family caregiver herself. I am honored to welcome Karen to the stage to share her story and her thoughts on this new resource for caregivers. Karen, come on up.
Good morning. First of all, I'd like to thank you for the opportunity to have this platform. And as I was sitting there, I was getting emotional because my mother passed in 2016. But I thought, like, how different could our path have been if this existed at that time? So this is a phenomenal resource, and I am excited for everyone that it will impact. That's my sidebar. This was a great opportunity. So just to walk you through what it feels like. So, my mother took care of both of my children, so they didn't have to go to daycare until they could speak. And she had a very rigid schedule with both of them and very consistent. So once I started, weaning them off of every day with grandma, and they were going to school, and she'd have them like 2 days a week, I'd see like she started to fall off. Like I was leaving for work one day, and she said, "Wait, what do you want me to feed them for lunch?" And I said, "Food." I just thought, like, what kind of question is that? I'm running out the door. It was just odd things that just popped up, and it was so uncharacteristic. And then one day she couldn't remember how to get home from my house, and we lived like 4 miles away. And so these things were happening, and I was finding that we're justifying these uncharacteristic occurrences rather than thinking it could possibly be something bigger. So we get the diagnosis of dementia. So now what? So we kind of thought like, okay, so we kind of went back to normal, but there's no normal. So should she not drive anymore? So my dad said, well, she can just drive to CVS. And I'm like, she can get hurt driving to CVS. At what point do you stop allowing them to drive? At what point do you stop them from cooking? So there's all these different things that we didn't know, and there was nowhere to find out and no one to ask. So I think this resource will be great because it will be a checkpoint or a reference point to see if you're tracking, if what you're doing is okay, because you don't want to harm your loved one. You want to give them, their best opportunity. So I think when I started, my internet search was the Alzheimer's Association, which led me to the Department of Aging, and I also found the African American Alzheimer's and Wellness Association. So I had activities that I could take my mother to and that we could do at home. But I believe that this care center will be, alas, a square one, a starting place for everyone, for the practitioners, for clinicians, for caregivers and family members. There's a direct point of place to go, a resource point to go, with access for learning materials, and eliminates wasted time on research, because you don't have time to waste when you're a caregiver, because you also have a family that you're taking care of and a job and your own health. So I think that this will produce higher quality interactions with your family members and coordination of services. I didn't know what respite care was. So, it's just an opportunity to learn what you don't know, because when you start off, you don't know what you don't know, to be able to ask questions, to get answers. So I think people can be motivated that they're doing the right thing for their family member, and I think this is a groundbreaking opportunity for anyone that has dementia and the people that are taking care of them. So thank you for allowing me to speak.
Thank you, Karen, for sharing your story and for your advocacy for caregivers. So before we cut the ribbon today, I have one more announcement to share. As I mentioned, we had an amazing task force, and they released preliminary findings summary. This document that was released served as a springboard to meaningful action. It guided our resulting efforts at the Department of Aging to implement real-world strategies like what you see here today. This work is real and it's happening right now, but I want to assure you that we are not finished. We are very committed to this because there remains much to do. But fortunately, we have a pathway. Armed with the insights from the preliminary findings summary, our department has taken the next step in building a roadmap to meaningful action. And I am proud to announce that in the coming days, our department will be publishing a new report. It is our action plan on Alzheimer's disease and related dementias. The action plan, for those watching, will be available at aging.ohio.gov/action plan. That was supposed to be smooth, but but you get the point. And for those of you in the room, we will begin to hand out cards to you with a QR code on them. And you'll be able to scan the QR code with your phone, and it will take you directly to the web page. Now, note, you will receive a prompt information when this report will be available and published in the coming days. Actually, pretty soon, very soon, actually. So hold on to this card and know that we will send information out. You'll be able to scan the QR code with your phone. It will take you directly there. This action plan ties a bow on the work of the task force. It includes several goals, strategies, and tactics that will prepare our state for the future as the number of Ohioans affected by ADOD continues to grow. Many of these strategies you'll find are already underway, and we're really excited about that. But there are many more on the horizon. The concepts in the action plan will require collective buy-in, not just from those of us in the room, but from many different sectors and communities from across the state. This plan contains bold ideas. We recognize it will not be easy, but they are necessary to tackle the big challenges presented by ADOD. So with our collective passion for making a difference, I am confident that we will witness more and more positive changes as time marches on. So I want to thank all of you for joining us today for this special celebration. And at this time, if I could have all of our speakers join me in front of the podium for our ribbon cutting. Absolutely. Thank you.
Six, 5,